It is May 4, 2025, and this is part 2 of the Green Cincinnati Plan. The last episode was part 1. That was episode 13. This is episode 14. And I just really wanted to close the loop on the Green Cincinnati Plan business. The subject is very big. There's a lot going on with the city with this Green Cincinnati Plan. But my interest is in how much it costs. I have made a little bit of progress on that. Last episode, I wasn't really sure. But I do still think that the city doesn't really know how much it spends on it either. It's so elaborate and there's so much going on that who really knows? But my concern is how much we're spending on it. And the concern has gotten greater because of what's happening at the federal level. The Biden administration, when they came in, President Biden signed an executive order all about the climate. And he introduced this thing called Justice 40, which was supposed to be like environmental justice. Actually, this is in Cincinnati's Green New Plan, but they got it from the federal government that has a similar, raised fist. But it says Justice 40 is dynamic cross-department effort across the federal government. Bad language there from the Cincinnati Plan. To explicitly require equitable benefits to be applied to programs related to climate change. So Cincinnati is down with the struggle, and they're down with the struggle even though we got big money problems in other parts of the city government. We have at least 3 big deficits. There's probably more, but we don't know about them right now. And we have a lot of debt. So we all know the first deficit has to do with our pension liability. The Cincinnati Futures Commission identified that as a #1 threat to the city. They used the term threat. And we've got to put $824 million into the pension fund to bring it whole by 2045, according to a court order. So that's $124 million. And there's all kinds of stuff in the Cincinnati Futures Commission about what they plan to do, but that's off subject. The second deficit is, of course, the infamous $400 million of deferred maintenance that the city used to justify selling the Cincinnati Southern Railway. I've never seen a list that totals $400 million. I've seen a list that totaled $200 million and a list that totaled $250 million, but never $400 million, and certainly not the $500 million level that it got to. The closer we got to the referendum, the higher that number got. But we've got that to deal with, and I don't think $1.6 billion and the extra $30 million a year, or whatever it is they plan to disperse to the city, is going to be a long, long time before they address that $400 million deficit. And then we just learned of another deficit this winter with the snow that came, and we weren't able to plow the snow very expeditiously because our snow plows broke down. So we also have a deficit in our public service fleet. We need fire trucks. I think the police are pretty well set for vehicles, but I'm not sure. But anyway, those vehicles, especially the fire vehicles, are very, very expensive. So the point is, how did it get this way? How did these deficits grow like this? Because the city was spending money on things other than what they really should have been spending the money on. They should have never let this get to the point where it's gotten. And it's the spending like this Green Cincinnati Plan stuff that caused it. You know, Cincinnati, it seems like they want to be a big city, but really what they are is just a big government. I don't think the city's that big, but the government sure is, spending $2 billion a year on, you know, a lot of stuff. But the way that I look at this Green Cincinnati Plan is it really does try to touch every aspect of your life. So we have our basic city services that we all understand and we all understand are necessary: police, fire and EMS, water service, sewer service, your trash pickup, your zoning, your economic development, all your social services. Everybody understands that the city needs those, and all we do is squabble here and there about how much we should spend on each one. What everybody does not understand in terms of city services is this Green New Deal. And the way I look at it is the Green Cincinnati Plan does not take the place of other city services. What the Green Cincinnati Plan does is it overlays those basic city services and requires those city services to incorporate all of these Green Cincinnati Plan principles. So I have no idea what that does to the efficiency or to the costs of these basic city services that have these Green Cincinnati Plan goals and objectives assigned to them. But it definitely complicates things, and if we stop doing them tomorrow, nobody would notice, except all these groups that are getting money from the Green Cincinnati Plan, which I'll talk about in a minute. But that's really the way I look at it, is that the city has made these climate goals part of our basic city services. So the Green Cincinnati Plan promotes carbon neutrality and equity. Those are the two products or the two services that we get in Cincinnati as a result of the Green Cincinnati Plan. We're going to get carbon neutrality by 2050, and we're going to be more equitable. So that's what we get for our money. And I don't really know how they measure all that, but in the Green Cincinnati Plan, on page 35, they do discuss equity. Somewhere in here, somewhere in the plan, I think it's towards the back in the definition of equity, there are five types of equity. Get this. There is recognitional equity, procedural equity, distributional equity, restorational equity, and transformational equity. And when it comes to the Green Cincinnati Plan, this is what they say. Climate change impacts communities of color and other vulnerable populations in disproportionate ways. For example, bad air quality leads to higher asthma rates, degraded infrastructure leads to flooding and sewer backups, and fewer trees and more pavement lead to higher and more unhealthy temperatures. So that's where they're coming from. And what they're pushing for is equity-aligned strategies in the Green Cincinnati Plan. So they give you some examples. Examples of equity-aligned strategies in the Green Cincinnati Plan. For example, reduce energy costs for tenants and homeowners experiencing energy poverty to improve the affordability of housing. Doesn't say how they're going to do that. Use a variety of systems to create equitable access to nutritious, affordable food in every neighborhood, prioritizing communities that need it most and creating food sovereignty. Number 3, provide reliable public transportation options and an improved rider experience to connect residents to the places where they need to go. Number 4, increase air quality studies and education and reduce pollution from air emissions. Number 5, reduce extreme heat, overland flooding, landslides, and water pollution vulnerabilities by incentivizing, improving, and increasing green structure. So theoretically, the city is spending money trying to do all of that while at the same time providing these basic city services. And the plan has this definition. It says the 2023 Green Cincinnati Plan definition. Equity is just and fair inclusion in which all can participate, prosper, and reach their full potential. In sustainability work, equity must be recognitional, procedural, distributional, restorational, and transformational. And that's straight out of our plan. So that's where they're coming from. And it's when I said in the last episode that the plan was very extreme, that's kind of what I'm talking about. They absolutely want to touch every part of your life. And the bad part for them is that their funding is going to dry up. And the question's going to be, are we going to cut all of this out because we can't afford it? Or are we going to be like the city councils before, where they don't really care? They just keep spending money and let these deficits keep growing because in a couple of years they're out of council. And why should they put the city through all this pain of cutting spending? So that's the big risk. In the Green Cincinnati Plan, on page 51, they have a excerpt from a Brookings study about how much money is going to be out there to go after in terms of grants. And the Brookings Institute is, talking about, $1 trillion in between the infrastructure bill and the Inflation Reduction Bill. It's $1.2 trillion, and a pretty good chunk of that is going to go towards, climate change or climate action, whatever they say. It says, this is in the Green Cincinnati Plan. It's not really operative anymore, I don't think. It says, over the next 10 years, the Inflation Reduction Act will fund community investment in energy efficiency, electric vehicles, solar, and greenhouse gas emission reduction programs. Well, from what I'm seeing, I don't think that's operative anymore. I think that the funding that was in the Inflation Reduction Act for climate actions or climate activity, I think that's going to be rescinded. I think the new bill is going to rescind all that money. And the question is, will the city, in response, cut their climate program, or will they continue to spend at the same level and just go into further debt or create deeper deficits? It'll be interesting to see what they do. The other thing about the Green Cincinnati Plan that I wanted to highlight real quick was that, and what's new from the 2018 plan, is that there's three, the plan includes 3 new grant programs that is touching 71 different organizations. So I think you had in excess of 50 nonprofits that got money through leverage support and contracts and program operations or whatever. Then you had another group under Act for Cincy. I can't remember exactly what that number was, but that was up around 50 or more. And then you have 71 nonprofits getting money under the Green Cincinnati Plan. And it's quite the pattern. And under the Green Cincinnati Plan, it's very stark that you have 71 groups that are getting money, but they're not getting very much. The total amount that is being spent on these grant programs is, in 2024, was $281,661. So you had the Green Cincinnati Plan Seeds of Change, and there were 19 groups that received $196,000. You had the Green Cincinnati Plan Seeds of Change Youth Climate Action, so they're getting the young folks involved. They had 9 groups that received $40,000. Some of them were like in the $5,000 range. One was exactly $5,000. But they went to things like Xavier Office of Institutional Diversity and Inclusion, Black Student Union, NPHC Unity Garden, $3,500. You had Side Streams and Madisonville Youth Council, Madisonville Composting, $5,000. So you get the idea there. And then the third category is called Urban Agriculture 2025. 43 groups split $44,892, so that's about $1,000 a piece. So you had the city going around and basically giving out some coins to all these urban agriculture groups. And I don't think the money is the point. I think the money is to get them in the fold here, get them with the program, because as far as this city council is concerned, the more groups they can entangle, the better for them in terms of their re-election efforts. So I do think you should take a look at the Green Cincinnati Plan and how extensive it is. I mean, it is quite the plan. And I'm sure the idea was to do this exquisite plan so that any climate grant that came along, they just send this plan in and it's a perfect justification for whatever money they were looking for. So I'm pretty sure that was the plan. But the next time, I think I'm going to cover a couple different issues, or at least cover more deeply an issue I've been working on with respect to these nonprofits. For example, I found one nonprofit that the mayor sits, at least in the first 2 years of his term, sat on the board of one of these nonprofits that is getting money from the city. So I've asked to see any kind of ethics agreements or any guidance like that about what the mayor had to do or should not be doing as a member of that board. We'll see what I get. And then the other issue I'm looking at is this use of the temporary prohibition list, which was put in place by the city after the corruption scandal in 21. And it basically requires the city maintain a list on their website of persons with financial interests or something like that before the city. They have to go on this list, and then the electeds are not allowed to solicit contributions from anybody on that list. And the people, these financially interested persons, they have an affirmative obligation to disclose this to the city. And there's an online form where they do that. But from what I can see, I can't imagine that this list is very effective at what the city council was interested in way back in 2021. But those are some issues coming up, and until then, we're going to trying to keep track of what the hell's going on in this city.